ever gives up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe!
Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show, and I gotta tell you, I am excited. I am excited. How long has it been since we've laid hands on G.I. Joe? It's been a while, okay? It's been a while since Hasbro's put anything out for the Classified series. And I know some people have had Croc Master already. I had him in my pile of loot. I just got a really big shipment from the pile of loot. I think I mentioned that in the last video when we were taking a look at Zod and Superboy Prime and a broken Lex Luthor. But there was a number of Joe figures in that pile of loot. And we're going to start with Croc Master right here, just because this was one of the figures I did not have as a kid. I didn't have him in the vintage line. So he's completely new to me, not just to the Classified, but to having him in my grubby little hands in general. So we have a deluxe figure right here. We got Croc Master, we got his Croc Fiona, and we have all of the accessories. We got a really cool picture of him down here in the corner, reining that big beast in. I really like that. It rolls around to the side that it's kind of two Croc Masters. And on the back, we have this big splash picture, which is different. It looks similar. It has that similar feel, but it's definitely different from what we've had before. We have Firefly, Blood, Cobra Commander. I'm pretty sure this one in the middle is supposed to be Dr. Mindbender, that luckily enough, I got mine pre-ordered during SDCC. And then we have Spirit, Flint, Lady J. And one thing that I really like that they're doing is that if you look at these animated pictures, these are like basically animated versions of the figures, which I think is pretty cool that they're doing it that way. On the side, we have that file card that I've never bothered to look up because I really don't like that whole idea. He's number 38 in the line. On the bottom, legalese. Up top, we have a window to let light down in for when it's sitting on the shelf. Like we're going to see this on the shelf. So, that's our packaging. G.I. Joe Classified Deluxe Box. Let's get this trash out, and let's get the figures out of the box, and we will take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Croc Master and Fiona. Alright friends, here he is, Croc Master, out of his box, and putting the tape measure to him, we see that to the top of his head, he is just under 6.5 inches tall. Okay, bringing him up closer, let's take a better look at him. And I gotta say, I think Hasbro did a great job on Croc Master here. He just looks mean. He looks tough. You believe this dude could wrestle a crocodile to the ground and win. I really like the bulk to him. He's not as big as like Gung Ho or Roadblock or something like that, but he's definitely beefier and a little bulkier than some of the standard figures that we've had before. And whereas like a lot of the other figures we had sort of bulked out because of the armor they were wearing or their uniform or something, here it's just all Croc Master. It's all muscle. I really like this. Like, he just looks mean. He looks like something out of like a horror movie, like Friday the 13th or something, and I really dig that. Now, the sculpt on him is fantastic with all of this detail work up front here for the crocodile scales that make up the vest, the tank top with armor, whatever this is that he's wearing that's like made out of crocodile hide. But then when you turn it over on the back here, you can see that it has all of the ridges, all of the, what would have been like the dorsal ridges of a crocodile right there. And that's some really cool detail as well. He has this wrist bracer down here that's also supposed to be made from crocodile hide, maybe the base of the tail or something. And then carrying on that theme to the boots down here, you can see the detail work, the scale work in his boots. And even his boots have a little bit of a flair to the design to them, sort of like how the toe tips up and there's a little bit of a heel here, almost like they're homemade cowboy boots or something, and I really dig that. Now, we have this eye right here. This belt is molded to the body, so that's not separate, and I like that because it keeps centered and it won't move whenever you're moving him around and playing around with him. We have his steel van brace over here, which, I don't know, maybe he jams that into Fiona's mouth whenever she's getting all bitey. He has his Cobra logo, but I really love this mask that he's wearing, this skull-tight mask. You can see the outline of the ears right there. You can see the furrowed brow. And it's all black, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see that in the camera, but you can even see stitch work across the top of the cranium where like he just stitched this mask together, and everything just has like this homemade feel to it. Like he just made everything he's wearing. This is great. I dig this. Little respirator right here. The red eyes just staring at you with hate. The goggles in there. I dig this whole thing. And then we get into the body of him, his arms. And you can see that they sort of put like a black wash, a blue black wash over his arms just to make the guns stand out a little more. Just to make the musculature stand out a bit more. I really like this. Now, his oxygen tank here actually is removable, and the head does pop off just like all of the G.I. Joe figures, and we have that dumbbell joint up here, so that if you do find a head that you like, you could put it on here. You could put it on here as sort of like a unmasked Croc Master, because we did not get a secondary head with our boy here. And then the oxygen tank just pegs into his back like that. I really like the design of this guy. Croc Master's a lefty, we see. He has his holster pistol on his left hip, and he has his boot knife on his right boot. Even if you look at, and I hope it's coming through in the camera, if you look at the straps holding his holsters on, they have a scale motif going to them. Like everything, all of this leather that he's wearing is just made from crocodile hide. Really like the look of him. Now, he could do a full 360 spin with his head, but there is limitations because of the oxygen hose that he has here. He can look up. He can look down. He has some decent tilt side to side. His arms will do a full 360. They'll come up past 90. He does have a butterfly joint here. You can see it cut in, but it's really tight, and it doesn't really give you much range of motion right there. He has a bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows that on both sides there's a little bit of they don't come up all the way because of the bracers that he's wearing. Wrists pivot. Now both of his wrists, including his trigger hand here, pivot in and out. And Hasbro was doing so good on that, getting the weapons hands to pivot up and down. I wouldn't have minded this one so much since it's obviously his offhand, but I feel like this one should have had an up and down pivot instead of an in and out pivot. You can see cut right into him. He has an ab crunch there that he can go forward a little bit. He can come way back, but then he also has a ball joint, and it's a little stiff right now, that he can pivot at the waist. He can use it to really crank back, and he can get a little bit more forward. I was hoping he would be able to get more forward so that you could like put him more into like wrestling poses with Fiona, like getting his arm around her head or trying to clamp her jaws down or something. But it is what it is, and it's not too bad. And that's pretty standard for what we've been getting with the G.I. Joe Classified. There's also some tilt side to side. Now his legs, just like all of the Classified figures, he has the drop down legs that can come out to 90. Focus in, they can come out to 90. Push them back up. His legs will go forward. His legs will go back. He has a thigh swivel right there. Double jointed knees with some really good travel right there. He has the boot cut. Ankles go back. Ankles go forward. Forward facing pin for some rock. Okay, something that I missed at first when I first got him out of the box, and I didn't notice until I was playing around with him. See where his air hose connects right here to his rebreather? That actually pops right out. And I like that because if you're playing around with him and you get a little too vigorous with the head movements and whatever, it's not going to break. It'll just pop right out on that peg. And then you can just slide it back in and it holds shape. Croc Master comes with a few accessories, and the first one we're going to take a look at here is his whip. And it's okay. I'm not thrilled about the shape that it holds right here. I don't know exactly a good position to have him holding it to make it look like it's in motion or something, or if he's holding it and it's just hanging. I don't know. The design isn't bad. I do like how it carries through once again this leather croc motif right here on the handle, that the wraps are painted right there a decent green that matches up to the rest of him. But I even have to question, what good is this going to do against a crocodile? It's not going to do much, except maybe really upset them. I don't know. But it fits easily into his hand. Now, Croc Master, at least mine anyway, has some really stiff fingers. So you kind of got to squeeze it in there to get it in there. But you see what I mean? Like, I'm not entirely sure, like, what a good position to hold this thing would be. But there he is with his whip. Another accessory that he has is this revolver right here, and this is pretty cool. We haven't had a revolver like this in the G.I. Joe line yet. We had Sarge's big Magnum in the Action Force figure, but we haven't had anything like this for G.I. Joe yet, so that's kind of cool. Although I have to admit that for as good as it looks, in Croc Master's hand, once again, his fingers are really tight. Put it in, twist, get the trigger in there. In Croc Master's hand, it kind of looks like a snub nose. Like, I feel like he should have had something beefier, a little bit more pronounced, like maybe a Desert Eagle or something. Like, I don't know, but it just looks tiny in his hands. Now, it does fit very well into his holster. You can just slide it in right there. And as a matter of fact, it has a real tight fit in his holster. It's not going to come falling out. So that's just fits in right there. Another piece that he has is this dagger, and I would love to see Hasbro start to do more melee weapons like this for the G.I. Joe line. Molded in silver, and once again having that green wrap on the handle. I really like that this just isn't another black dagger that we've been getting with the rest of the classified line. I really like the detail in this. I really like that in the silver plastic you can actually make out the details in this, like the blood trench right there on the back of the knife. The shape of it, the design, the texturing in the handle. I really, really like that. And just like any of his other equipment, you can just, it actually fits very easy because it's smaller into his hand right there. And it sizes well for the figure. And then it fits down here into his boot sheath. And it is a little tight, so you have to be careful when you push it in so that you don't just try to jam it in and bend the blade. It's a little tight, but I don't mind that because it'll keep shape. It's a form-fitting sheath. You can see right, oh, no, you can't see right there. You can see right there, it's a form-fitted sheath. It's shaped so that it keeps a good grip on it, and it's not going to fall out either. And then finally, we have this meat hook, which is actually pretty cool, and it's pretty impressive, and it's suitably big and imposing. And I love the shine to it. I love this shiny silver that it's been molded in. There's not a whole lot of detail to it, but it's a big hook. The only thing they could have done to add anything to it would be to put another green wrap there, but honestly, I think it just being all silver, it looks just fine. Now, this is probably the hardest one to get into Croc's hands, just because of how big the handle is and how tight his grip fingers are. And once again, that might just be mine, but you also have to make sure you don't bend the thumb out of position. And there you go. And I like that this continues the tradition of the classified figures, that with sheath, holster, and two hands, Croc Master here has the ability to be posed on the shelf, to be standing on the shelf with all of his accessories on him. No worries about setting something aside and losing it. He can just have everything on him at once. And I really like that about the classified line. Next up, we have Fiona, and putting the tape measure to her, we can see that from the tip of her tail to the tip of her snoot, she's a foot long. Now, Fiona, like Croc Master, has some really good detail to her that just look at the ridges. And you can even see, like, there's ridges on the back of her skull. And this carries down to her tail. Like, there's some really good sculpt work going on. The body is squishy, just like those old 80s toys whenever we would get an animal. The body is squishy in there. The head is solid plastic. Look at those green eyes. Those just wicked green eyes staring out from the skull, the jagged teeth. She does have jaw articulation, so we can open that up and we can take a look at her chompers in there. Those look great. Those look great. Those look menacing. Those look sharp. I absolutely love it. You can even see like some detail work right here in the side when her jaw is open, like in the sinew right there and the muscle. I really dig that. Like there's some really good sculpt work going on even with Fiona right here. And you can see that detail and that attention to detail follows through on the bottom here with all of the scaling going on all the way down her body. And it's great. It looks great. She's not particularly heavy. I mean, like, she's probably the same mass, the same weight as one of the regular classified figures. Now, for articulation, she has 2 points here that the head will go side to side. The head can go up and down. It can do a full 360 spin. But then she also has it back here just behind her shoulders so that, like, she can really get the head looking around. She has some bend up, nothing really down, but she has some decent range of travel going on between those 2 points of articulation right there. Now at the back, her tail is on a ball joint as well. Goes side to side. Whoops, pops off. If you try and push it too far up and down. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. So if you try and go too far up and down, it can go down, won't go up very much. Now this is solid rubber right here, but when you get right about here, it does feel like there's a bit of a bendy wire in it. So you can mold the tip of her tail. You can form the tip of her tail into different positions, different poses, things like that. Now here she has a ball joint right here at the back leg that it can rotate, twist out and in, come out to the side a little bit. And she has movement in her ankles. Ankles rock back, ankles rock forward, forward facing pin for some rock right there. And then up front, her arms are also on a bit of a ball joint, limited range that she, oh, wow, that actually comes up higher than I thought it would. I didn't get that kind of range out of it when I was playing around with her before. These also do a full 360 and it comes up and she has forward, back, and it will turn side to side. And you saw her jaw, but her jaw can really crank open and you can really look down in there. And once again, you have some detail work, some lovely, lovely detail work going on with her tongue right there. That they really, really paid attention to Fiona. And she's not like just like a throwaway pack-in. They did some really good work on Fiona here. Fiona comes with some of her own accessories, and the first of those are these two baby Crocs that she has. One green, one albino. There's some really nice detail work going on with these little guys too. Oh, focus in. You can see the ridges on the back of them. That is fantastic. It's easier to see on the green one than on the white one. The underside, the underbelly is shaded differently, matching Fiona's own coloring, both front and back, like little Fiona Jr. here. And I even like how they have the green eye painted in and those white jagged teeth painted in. There was some for something so small, there's some really good work going on with this one. Now we bring the albino one up here, and you can see that it has red eyes, sort of matching Croc Masters. It has the detail work right there in the back. There is scaling on the belly too. Like I said, with the white one, it's hard to see though. There's no articulation with these guys. The tail is a little bendy. The bodies are a little bendy. But other than that, they're pretty much going to hold the position that they've been molded in. But really, what else would you expect for something this small? And these two look great. These are some really cool, really cute little pack-ins. Focus. Really cute little pack-ins for Fiona here. And finally, Fiona comes with her collar and chain leash, and a few things about this. This isn't bad. This is cool. I would have preferred if the chain would have come straight off the back rather than shooting out to the side right here. But what's more important is I feel like this isn't big enough, that the collar itself isn't big enough. that you have to slide it over her head, and it doesn't really fit well. You kind of have to stretch it. The first time I put it on her, I had a bear of a time getting it on, and it seems like I'm having a bit of a time now, too. Kind of have to stretch it to get it over her, and I feel like there's a couple of issues with this. That first of all, you're going to stretch it to the point that it might start ripping. I don't know, but the other thing is that, like, trying to fight it off and on like that, I don't like the idea that eventually you might start to get paint rub from putting it off and on. So I put it on for some shots in this video. I don't know how I'm going to pose them, if I'm going to keep Croc Master reining her in on the shelf, or if I'm just going to let her go off leash. I don't know yet, but I have a feeling that if I decide to put it on, or if I decide to leave it off, it'll pretty much live like that once everything is said and done. But Fiona, like her owner, can actually be posed with all of her accessories if you want to, because if she was on leash and Croc was holding on to her, there's the ridges on her back give enough friction and enough grab that the babies can hang on to the back and pretty much stay in position. So, like the classified figures, Fiona can be displayed with all of her accessories on her as well. And now for size comparisons, here he is next to the HASBRO G.I. Joe Classified Series Zartan and Roadblock. And I always felt like Croc Master and Zartan and the Dreadnoks would hang out. You can see that he is beefier, he is bigger, Zartan's armor beefs him out than Zartan is, but you can also see he's not nearly in the same league as Roadblock. And I was kind of hoping that he would be about this size. I feel like Croc Master should be Cobra's Roadblock. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like he should have been beefier, sized up to this. Here he is next to the Valiverse Action Force Sergeant Slaughter and Desert Rat. Here he is beside McFarlane Toys Suicide Squad Peacemaker and Bloodsport. Here he is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and White Xenomorph Drone. And finally, here he is beside Jazzware's Spartan Collection, Master Chief, and Noble Six. So aside from the excitement of having G.I. Joe in hand again, and it has been a while since we've had G.I. Joe in hand. As a matter of fact, I think the last new thing that we got from G.I. Joe was the Commando Snake Eyes and Timber box set, which mine got here so late, I never even bothered to put a video up for it, because it was like, mine got delayed for some reason. It was like months after it had just come out, and I figured everybody had seen it already. But I'm really glad that we're starting to get new figures finally rolling out. Like I said, we got Croc Master and Fiona right here that we just took a look at. I have Spirit on his way. I have the Storm Shadow figure on his way. The Cobra Officer is coming. I have a few more new ones coming from Valiverse as well. And I also have the complete set as of right now with all 4 of the classified figures in the retro carding. And we'll take a look at those eventually as well. But Croc Master here, Croc Master is great. He looks great. He's big. He's not as big as I would like, but he's big. He's imposing. He's intimidating. And he gives us something for the Cobra line that is very much needed. It's some flavor, some color, some attitude. He's very different from any of the Cobra figures that we've received so far. Because if you think about it, we have the Cobra officers, we have the Vipers that are basically just blue-suited army builders. We have Zartan, who looks cool, but when it comes down to it, he's just a biker in some armor with a cowl. And we have Firefly and Major Blood, 2 figures that I really like, but there's just something about Croc Master that it's like, look at this psycho, this guy is dangerous, this guy you don't want to meet in a back alley, or even on a front street. And Fiona looks great too, finally getting, like, I shouldn't say finally, but getting a pet for I know it sounds ridiculous, but getting a pet for Cobra, we now have something like Fiona that, I don't know, it was totally missing from the line. I like having her. I like that she's here. Like I said, I think she's a great addition to the line, and much like her master, Croc Master, she's going to add something to the shelf, to the collection, to make the Cobra side of things stand out just a little bit more. I think the sculpt is great. I think the paint work is great. I forgot to mention it when we were looking at the paint apps that I really like how the front of his scaled shirt, vest, whatever you want to call it, is a little discolored like it would be on the underside of a crocodile. It's a lighter green on his belly. The belt on his eye looks great. The mask that he's wearing looks great. Everything was done really well as far as the sculpt and the detail work go on this. I just think they missed an opportunity and should have made him a little bit bigger. That's my one real nitpick about it, and I'm going to stop ranting about that now. I don't know. I feel like now we need like a fan boat or something for him to be in. So that is what we have for you today. We have more coming down the line. I hope you like this look at Croc Master. I know I did. I had a blast with him. The accessories that he comes with are great. Like I said, his whip here, really not sure what to do with the whip, what position to put it in, but I like that we got it. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe!